Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Piglet here, and I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here. We are once again back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos as always. And let's place in Bowser amiibo right here. Yes, we are about to be playing as Bowser on the second amiibo party session. Now as a result, because of this though, welcome back for more of Let's Play of Mario Party 10 for the Nintendo Wii U. Because yesterday we have managed to begin Amiibo Party as in the first session by simply able to select Toad as our main amiibo, as far as you guys should already know. And today we're about to be going to the Amiibo session number 2, or in this case Amiibo Party session number 2, because this time we're about to begin the Bowser variation. Now, because we decided able to go through the Bowser amiibo compared to the rest of them during the second session, this is probably because that the Bowser amiibo might actually function pretty differently compared to the rest of the other playable characters, which we'll get to more on that whenever we get this thing started. So even then though, that once again we're actually traversing through a basic bare bones board once again, except now in a cosmetic skin differences, and that was of course Bowser's themed kind of amiibo board. So something to worth mentioning for this point. So either way though, let's just see if how things were able to turn out. And as you can see on screen, that we did manage to able to select these computer players, which there are Wario, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong. So even then though, if you're wondering what the if you're probably wondering if you're wondering if where Rosalina is going to be in it, I'm sorry to tell you that you have to wait until for later, until whenever we get onto the forms of the extra modes or anything like that, until likely in next weekend that we might able to focus on coin challenge mode from in Mario Party mode and stuff like that, so we figure I was able to noticing this already. So either way though, there's not much else we can talk about apart from the fact that today is the final day of May 2020 day, in this case the 31st of May today, in this case in 2020, and recently we managed to able to play through on our own time, playing through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition recently, and as a result of that kinds of stuff though, is the fact that we actually super impressed about the fact that the presentation looks so much better than the previous two versions, and also that, you know, with the option to change into the original soundtrack to the remastered version of the soundtracks themselves, oh man, it is so pleasant, because even then you can either just play through the game with either the normal soundtrack from the Wii/new 3DS versions, or if you feel like a newbie or something, then you can probably should stuck around with remastered soundtrack, whatever you wanted to. So, because unlike the you know, the HD compilations of the Kingdom Hearts games, that you have to most likely hear the mastered soundtracks for the whole entire time for some of the other games. Well, some exceptions though, Sonic, just because of how the fact that, well, you guys should probably already noticed by this point, so. But I digress. And recently, about the fact the matter is though, is that both Tiana and Daffy Duck, even though I'm pretty sure we've actually mentioned about this, or maybe not, but recently they managed to finally finish up with their Let's Play of, excuse me, that they managed to finally finish up with their Let's Play of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. So even then though, for both versions of the game. So as a result though, that the next Donkey Kong Let's Play they're about to be focused on right now, and that is of course Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, as far as what they've totally mentioning about that. So, and as far as someone else is going to do that particular game though, well, we have to wait until when it gets to the point until likely on August, much like the ones in Donkey Kong Country since last year. So we figure I was able to noticing this from the start. So even then though, so far in terms of May 2020, as far as our impressions of this year for May, much like in April, it's actually gone pretty boring every once in a while, because most of the time, because of coronavirus issue, and overall, we just got very, very bored every once in a while. Like, we really do miss our old days where we're able to normally go to game shops, or even sometimes Agent V, that way we can able to buy some DVDs or occasional Blu-rays every once in a while for some occasional moments. Speaking of the moments worth noting for DVDs and Blu-rays essentially, Piglet, is the fact that likely until 8 days time, for those of you who lived in the UK, such as ourselves, the Sonic the Hedgehog the movie will be not long until its release on DVD/Blu-ray in the UK version. Like, it will gonna say it will be releasing until at some point on the 8th, so really looking forward to rewatching that film again, so even then though, because, well, so far I'm actually really enjoying this, so... Anyway, as you can see on screen, that since Yoshi managed to land on that specific special event spaces, as you can see, such as, of course, well, not so much for these, but just, you know, the one with the exclamation marks on it. That way, they'll give any other players able to actually access to the forms of those Bowser Jr. kind of events. Although, we'll talk more about this until whenever we get onto the bonus games, though. So because of this, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. So, yeah, as you can see, that rather than taking place in between, you know, 4-player or 3-for-all, whatever you want to call it, or even 1 versus rivals, and even 2 versus 2 minigames is going to take place, because since we're going to be playing as Bowser the whole time, during the forms of the actual amiibo party, as you can see, that is going to instantly take place in Bowser minigames instead of the forms of 3-for-all, and especially noticeable with, you know, 2 versus 2, and also same applies to the forms of 1 versus rival minigames. I'm pretty sure it makes things obvious because of how the fact that, well, you know, sometimes though, that if you ever want to expect if Bowser may able to join into the actual thing, well, turns out he might not be, so... But yeah, as a result, I am so hyped about the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog movie is now getting itself its UK release date. That is, of course, the 8th of June in 2020. So yeah, I'm really excited about this right about now, especially noticeable that, well, we might actually pre-order that, alongside with the forms of SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom Hydrated, as long as it doesn't go restock, so... So yeah, with the Bowser Jr. spaces, as you can see, that the one that Wario just landed on, I'm pretty sure this might be something related to the minigame challenge they always have to participating in for. Like, for instance, that, you know, on the previous turn, that Yoshi did manage to get 10 coins. I'm presuming that's why he did manage to beat Bowser Jr. from. And then, as far as when Wario did manage to lose by Bowser Jr., that means is the fact that he will lose coins. So yeah, something's worth talking about, so even then that's all we can say about this, so... Alright, so it looks like Yoshi's about to go ahead and land onto the special event space. But then again, there's not much else we can say apart from the fact that recently we just played through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition recently, so that way we can able to give ourselves our spare time during the forms of on, you know, on handheld mode or tabletop mode, whatever I like to call it that, because, well, to be fair, I kind of prefer playing it on tabletop mode along with the Switch Pro controller, just because of how the fact that of the comfortable factor on the Pro controller to me. I don't know, something about the forms of playing on handheld mode, even though it's not too bad honestly, but it's just that I'm just more used to with like playing the actual tabletop mode, rather than just the forms of likely, you know, just handheld mode in general, so... Alright, Bowser's Clawful Climb, and hopefully we should able to win 10 coins. In this case, 10 more coins specifically, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and just get our precision going, and hopefully we should able to actually get rid of Yoshi and Wario and Donkey Kong at the same time, so, you know, we can able to get the 10 coins glorious victory moment. 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah, I always have to keep doing that because, you know, this game doesn't have the minigame announcer, because either way though, I'm feeling incredibly bad for them. Finish! Even then though, Sonic, we could have able to actually do this kind of stuff in the future anyway, besides the fact that we might as well do it on the future time whenever when, I don't know how do I even think about it right now, just because, well, I know it's been a couple of days since I actually managed to able to plan out for something, but most of the time though, Piglet, is the fact that we're actually getting super distracted on things. Specifically, that, for instance, for example, that we originally tried able to list it in some of these certain Let's Plays coming in 2021, but we have to save that until whenever we get onto 2021, rather than just, you know, just recently, because as a result, we were originally trying able to be placing in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix Let's Play during at some point in 2021, which we did manage to put it onto our about list, but turns out we get rid of it just because of how the fact that we're not exactly prepared for 2021 selections of Let's Plays just yet. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be thinking of anyway, because, well, there's another reason why, is because we have to specifically focus on 2020 at the moment, so, in terms of Let's Plays department, so, yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning as well, so let's ignore that for now. By the way, if you manage to land on a Bowser space as the Bowser amiibo, some cool effects we're able to do for you, such as, for instance, you get yourselves freebie coins if you manage to land on the Bowser space, which, it is kind of cool though. But then if you somehow playing as either Yoshi or the rest of the gang, well, it will be still the negative effects, because otherwise that Bowser will attempt to screw you up in any forms of the actual board game, so... But yeah, you get the idea for that solution, so... Oh yeah, that reminds me about this, Sonic, is the fact that since, after all, that we still haven't usually got, you know, since we still managed to get ourselves Daisy and Waluigi amiibos, and even Boo amiibo as a result, after the, or just right at the same time when, you know, Mario Party Star Rush has been recently came out, but then as a result for that kinds of stuff, that it will not work in this game, because, you know, Waluigi and Daisy are not involved in Amiibo Party, unlike, you know, Mario Shuffle mode in Mario Party Star Rush. Yeah, I think that seems kind of true for that little sensical for that for sake of time. But we digress. So yeah, that's as far as we can able to say in terms of Amiibo Party as far as I'm aware. That again, we'll point it out until whenever we get on to, towards at the very end of this particular segment, because, for the sake of time, this will be the final time playing, Amiibo Party and Mario Party 10, just because of how the fact that, since despite the fact that we are still playing through some of those, exactly the same Bowser minigames as we've already did in Bowser Party mode, but this time around though, we actually compete against with 3 players instead of just 1, or just 4 players in general. And I think that's a perfect example of why they're able to decrease the number of Mario Team players within 3 players as opposed to 4. This is probably because player 1 is going to be obviously selecting Bowser, so... yeah, that makes it a little bit obvious for that sake of acknowledgement, so either way though, let's go ahead and play Bowser's Bogus Bingo, in this case the more luck-based minigames of all the Bowser minigame set. Even though it's kind of fun, but even then though, in a little bit of a good way in terms of luck-based events such as this, but either way though still, it can be pretty tricky to able to achieve the bingos with, so... I'm not exactly sure if we can able to achieve some of them, mind you, Sonic, but either way though, we'll see what happens there. So yeah, talking of which actually, is the fact that in terms of like new schedules and stuff like that, aside from like, you know, Duffy's not going to be coming back onto Team Sonic Racing anytime soon. That's because of this though, as when he said this before, since, I would say in the 6th part, that since he got immediately mad over in terms of like harder challenges or anything like that, most of the time that he will take a break from the game because of some frustration is involved, like due to the rubber banding AI or even the forms of the lack of skill for and stuff, or maybe it's probably because of something else entirely, so, but he will be back onto that game at some point in November. Finish! Yeah, you just have to keep doing that, Sonic, because you know, just want to make everything else a little bit more charming, as you would think, so either way though, since we've somehow lost, and by the way, since when Bowser loses that minigame, he actually gets himself his paranoid posing right there, which I think he'll do that in Super Mario Party before that, so yeah, because of that though, that unlike in Mario Party 10, the only way you can play as Bowser is both, you know, Bowser Party and especially noticeable for Amiibo Party. But unlike Super Mario Party, that Bowser is going to be playable in basically in every mode. So even then though, like including you know, Mario Party mode, Partner Party, Soundstage, and also Challenge Mode, etc, etc. Yeah, because Super Mario Party and Star Rush, they managed to have themselves the biggest amount of selections of modes. By the way, as far as for this particular segment right here in Bowser Party board, or in this case the Amiibo Bowser board, is the fact that every once in a while, certain red spaces will change into a Bowser space, so even then no. And what's kind of hilarious actually is the fact that every time when these little plasticky fireballs comes in, and then whenever they dive down right towards at the opponents themselves, the actual cardboard cutouts of themselves managed to get knocked over, which I found as pretty hilarious to me though. But either way though, that's all I can really say about it here. So alright, so we got 1, 2, 3 dice block here, so we can expect this much. Yeah, with the in terms of likely the Amiibo Bowser figure, in terms of, oh, speaking of such, if someone lands on their Bowser spaces, despite that you're still able to come across into negative side of things, what I found is pretty cool is the fact that since we're still using the Bowser Amiibo, that also means is the fact that the Bowser itself will still be transported into the forms of a the Bowser space negativity activity, but then after when that's been done, it'll transport back into, well, just ourselves within the Amiibo figure. So that seems pretty cool twists and turns here and there, so even then it just makes it a little bit more of a representing the old school Mario Party days, but to scale it down very significantly due to how little content they got. So either way though, that's what I can really say here. Alright, so let's play our next minigame here. And this time we're going to be playing through Bowser's Roulette Rage. So hopefully we would be able to just, you know, take down most of those computer players and stuff. So either way though, we could able to do that. Alright, here we go. After all, they actually start things up with 5 hearts in certain minigames. Whilst there are some of them like Hammer Slammer and stuff like that. And I think also that in terms of likely, I don't know how you record that honestly, because either way, sometimes they always starts it off with just 1 health or 1 heart in between. So either way though, let's go ahead and just do this little pattern here, and at least we got Wario and Donkey Kong onto that specific bit. All that needs left now is just Yoshi, and that's all we have to able to worry about. Well, in terms of likely trying to able to actually claim more points if you ever think. So there he goes. And there we go, we did manage to win on that. So, but either way though, something's worth mentioning also is the fact that, well, until tomorrow actually, it's the fact that June will be up in Journey Forms of Tomorrow, and because of that though, we're actually looking forward to some other things, right? Right? Well, aside from new Let's Plays, which should be up in Journey Forms of Tomorrow, and especially notable until on Tuesday as well, so yeah, we're really looking forward to see how new things were able to turn out. Now, if you guys are probably thinking about the fact that, isn't there more continuation parts on SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Hydrated Let's Play or something like that, for more continuing certain things like this? Well, the truth is though, is the fact that I think that that particular Let's Play continuation will be delayed and during at some point in July, just because to make it a little bit more summery themed, and then instead of able to try to go on to the continuation on that specific stuff, I think we'll pretty much get out to mainly focusing on both Pac-Man World 2, which should be tomorrow, spoiler warning, and as far as Tuesday is concerned, it will be the Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. Yeah, because of how the fact that despite we need to redo that game again for a better quality, better commentary at the same time, and because we're actually getting pretty close towards the end of the actual conclusion of the entirety of the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. So as a result for that kinds of stuff though, specifically whenever we get onto the recent one, until in forms of July as well, which appears to be Tokyo 2020, despite the actual Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics has been postponed. So as a result, we could able to actually just to release that Let's Play a bit earlier than it's later statement. So, yeah, because of that though, we just want to point it out for certain Let's Plays departments. So, either way though, let's get this thing to it with Bowser's Paintball. So, by the way, I just really like the actual title of this minigame because not only because this minigame can be painful for the team of Mario, or Team Mario I should say, but it's also the fact that we can able to interact with the actual pinball machine itself. So either way though, we can accept the actual main factor about that. Oh yeah, something's worth mentioning too is the fact that we'll discuss more about the forms of the changeable uploading schedules and journey forms of this Let's Play so far until whenever we get onto June at some point, form or another. There might be some of these different amounts of those videos we can able to upload, so just in case we can able to get these modes finished, and especially noticeable how the fact that despite some of these videos might actually go a little bit more shorter compared to the forms of you know, both Amiibo Party, Bowser Party, and Mario Party mode specifically, so...
Let's go!
Excuse me, I really do sorry about the forms of the awkward, quiet moments, especially noticeable how the fact that not only do we able to actually just watch movies every once in a while, but it's also the fact that we actually did manage to eat up specific amount of food. Like, for instance, I'm still eating my chili dogs, and as far as Piglet suggests, that he somehow eats his chocolate brownie. Even though it kind of feels like sickly looking, but at least I somewhat enjoy eating that at least, so... And by the way, something's worth mentioning also is the fact that every time when, usually relatively speaking, I don't know, how do I explain this? But anyways, let's grab this next token, which appears to be +5 movement, which think of like, that was before when Mario Party Star Rush and the top 100, and especially noticeable for Super Mario Party before those. If you come across into a golden mushroom or something in those 3 games before this, basically that you would able to actually get yourselves 5+ movement spaces. So, like, it doesn't matter how many dice block rolls you're going to be getting. So as a result of that kinds of stuff though, that token can be pretty helpful, especially noticeable if you really want to go after the star. If you keep on getting lower numbers or anything like that, then by all means you can able to actually just use that. So yeah, that's all I can really think about it. Alright, so where's the next star? It's almost gonna be right near to Yoshi himself, but either way though, I'm pretty sure that I don't know if you can able to actually get enough of the coins, potentially speaking, so... And by the way, for the actual price, in terms of the actual star, how much it costs about 20 coins, just like in the old school days. Or else, unlike, you know, in the ones in the Star Rush, Bloom Bash mode, and the Top 100 minigame match, and even especially noticeable for the majority of Super Mario Party, that, basically cost about 10 coins, which is a little bit more cheaper than the old school days every now and then, which is kind of unfortunate, but either way though, it has to be like... I have no idea why ND Cube just keep on changing some of those familiar mechanics that seems to able to, well, just make it a little bit more easy and simplistic or something. Well, it's probably just me, I'm just a little bit too nitpicking at this point, but still. Alright, so let's move on to the next Bowser minigame, which this time around, I'm pretty sure we're going to be playing through Bowser's High Dive, so either way though, we could hopefully try to squeeze up some more of those, players, as far as we like to point it out, so... Oh yeah, something's worth mentioning too, is the fact that recently, that, Onward, in terms of the new Pixar movie, which is about to be on its way on the DVD release date and stuff like that. And I think that particular film, the Onward film, is about to be releasing until, probably tomorrow actually, which could be a perfect timing for those of you who really want to see that film at long last on the forms of physical form. So either way though, that might be some consumption, so even then we don't know exactly we might get that film though, just because of how the fact that we weren't exactly too fond of it, to be honest with you, apart from how good the film is for some critics out there might be able to think about it. But honestly though, it's just the fact that we actually gone pretty low in terms of high expectations in terms of films at the moment, because you know what I mean, most films has been delayed, and also some of these films are actually now in demanding at the moment, which I'm sure definitely has already mentioned about this, that recently Scoop is now going to be on demanding at the moment right now. But even then, at least that's the only good thing about it. But we don't know exactly about the others though, because even then though, since we've not actually got into the halfway point in terms of 2020 so far, so there could be a possibility though of how the fact that if things were able to work out as much, but still, I just really can't excuse the fact that sometimes though, everything else goes all really downhill in terms of 2020 as a result, even way more than 2019 has to offer. Yeah, I know that, Sonic. I totally understand for that little solution here, so... Anyways, let's get ourselves the 5 plus 5, and that makes 10, which makes a specific number for the title. And let's just ignore that token for now on, because we're just gonna have to mainly focus on the things for now on. So even then, let's see how many red spaces and Bowser spaces that we might actually get. Even it's just likely a 50-50 in terms of, you know, basically for everything. So still no luck with the forms of the Japanese release of the Sonic movie either, which I was like, what's going on there? Although, to be fair though, Picklets, it's the fact that, you know, the impact coronavirus pandemic was actually causing it, so even I know that's kind of a bad thing, because either way, that's all I can really say about this, so... Anyway though, enough about this little stupid coronavirus thing, so even then, let's discuss upon the good things, and that is, of course, you know, we're still playing Mario Party 10 still, so either way though, it looks like Donkey Kong is about to be compete against with Bowser Jr., even though despite the fact that we can't see the minigame, of course, because of computer players is actually take control of that specific stuff, that also means is that every once in a while, that much like the ones in Mario Party 9 and all the other stuff which you expect, that ND Cubers like decided to go, nah, let's just skip this little computer players matches and stuff because they might find it very boring. And then I bet the company was like, you know what, let's just go and change that, because rather than just go for, you know, seeing a computer players match competing and stuff like that, which, again, it's kind of a shame, because I just wish if the length itself will go a little bit longer as I hoped it will be, but either way though, that's as far as we keep on nitpicking about this. I know that we keep on nitpicking most of the time when it comes to this discussion for today, but still, I just really can't excuse the fact that I just simply just able to actually just almost feel speechless all of a sudden. Yeah, anyway though, so let's go ahead and move on to the next turn, which appears to be, of course, turn number 9 and stuff. Well, despite the fact that we are still gonna be, well, at least as far as I'm assuming correctly, that we might able to play through all 10 of those minigames for sure. Well, in terms of the Bowser minigames for surely. Well, at least if I remember correctly, or maybe I'm wrong, but either way though, we'll see what happens there in terms of likely if there was actually that one minigame we missed out on, so... Although it turns out that we might actually still considering trying to play through every single part of it though, so... Yeah, I guess there wasn't any points to it, honestly, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and give our turn a shot, which at the moment we can't have any tokens so far. So for the sake of time, let's go ahead and aim for 6. That's more like it. And let's go ahead and use the double dice block token, so that way we can able to keep it for ourselves, and plus we can able to use that for the final turn. However, one thing that makes no sense to me, or we'll get into more on that later, if you somehow land on this space as Bowser, that Bowser Jr. will start to come up, instead of able to competing you in the minigame, because instead, he's able to give you a specific prize, mainly with coins and stuff, which, that's very kind of him, especially noticeable that, you know, Bowser Jr. was super impressed with his father and stuff, which, like, you know, father like son, so either way though, you get the idea. So, yeah, one thing that totally makes no sense in terms of the final turn, in terms of everything else in Amiibo Party, is the fact that you get those items in the final turn, which I was like, what happened to the old school days when when it's the final turn, that you're no longer going to be purchasing those items to begin with? Because at least for Super Mario Party, they did manage to correct so many aspects and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure about specifically Star Rush or the top 100, but either way, I just wanna point things out right away, but either way, let's move on to, you know, the final minigame in terms of this amiibo session, which is pretty obvious. It will be Bowser's Fireball Fury will be the last one, so yeah, if someone managed able to, well, if Bowser wins the minigame, they obviously get 10 coins, as you saw. And then if the Team Mario wins the minigame, or even survives the minigame, we're able to get also 10 coins. So, there is no positioning differences or anything like that. It's just like, it plays out pretty much exactly identical to, you know, the one versus rivals kind of, minigame system in terms of rewards and such. So, but you know, you get the idea for that point. You certainly get the idea for that little solution. And yeah, I guess there was not much else to talk about apart from the fact that, well, it's getting really hyped until when it gets to likely in June, despite that I don't think there's not much announcements going on at the moment just because of that, you know, coronavirus pandemic and stuff like that, which is kind of a shame because, you know, we were expecting if there was going to be some cool announcements to able to actually just to finally get it announced and just get going, but most of the time it doesn't seem to like it, so, oh well, that's kind of sad though overall, but either way. Alright, so there we go, onto our final turn in Amiibo Party as far as this mode suggests, and let's go ahead and use the double dice block token set. And hopefully we should be able to just receive in a high roll. Let's see what number we can get. So we got double 5, so once again we got 10, the actual number of this title, which, you know, represents Mario Party 10, despite the disappointments, as you guys can clearly notice by this point. I don't know who's ever gonna get that last 2 stars over there, but either way though, we'll see what happens when this turn was over. Well, at least for some agreement for this, for the sake of time. So, who needs that die? Oh, okay, we got ourselves a spare double dice block set. That seems pretty cool, even though it might be seems redundant, just because, again, this is the final turn already, so Yoshi's not gonna make it. And what about Donkey Kong? Whoever gonna makes it there? Well, I should probably hope so. And turns out, nah, he doesn't seem to make it, although he will be able to warp somewhere, so even though it's kind of unfortunate for him, so. But either way, that pretty much concludes Amiibo Party, so yeah. Finish! And let's see the award ceremony right here, so let's see who's in 4th. 4th place goes to Donkey Kong, despite the fact that he managed to able to land on that warp space, as you saw. And 3rd place goes to Wario, and I'm presuming Yoshi was in 2nd place, and of course, who know exactly who is in 1st place right now. Which would appears to be, of course, our glorious Bowser amiibo. So let's scan him over, and hopefully he'll be standing onto that specific podium. And yeah, as you can see on the base, that, excuse me, that we got ourselves a star base for Bowser, even though we'll discuss more about the forms of that specific changeable basing stuff until likely in the finale video of this Let's Play, but either way though, here's our 2nd victory in terms of Amiibo Party, and speaking of such, we win all of the boards in Mario Party 10, very similar to the ones in Mario Party 9 playthrough, so either way though, that's pretty much a full accomplishment, and also same applies for Star Rush, and especially noticeable with Super Mario Party and the Top 100 minigame match, all except in Island Tour because we lost the Bonsai Bill's Mad Mountain in Island Tour, so you guys can get the idea for that point. So yeah, I guess we should probably end things off at this point here. So join us next weekend for more of Let's Play of Mario Party 10. Is that we are going back into Mario Party mode because this time we are taking on the Coin Challenge. So see you guys next weekend. Later, fellas.